Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some modern Doctor Who, and today's video is 10 episodes that are perfect viewing for Halloween. Of course, it is October, and we are working our way toward Halloween, which is my personal favorite holiday. I love Halloween. Matter of fact, Baton Rouge has this awesome haunted house I like going to called the 13th Gate. It's fantastic. Check it out. I'm not sponsored for that, by the way. I just really love that haunted house. But we're going to talk about modern Doctor Who and 10 stories that I think would be perfect viewing if you wanted to marathon some Doctor Who on Halloween night. And we're going to start off, these aren't in any particular order, by the way, they're just kind of in the order they got wrote down. We're going to start off with, to me, the obvious one, Blink. Blink is a great episode. I very much enjoyed it on first viewing. I've enjoyed it on rewatches. And it's interesting. It's definitely probably the best Dr. Light story we've ever gotten. And it's carried very much by its guest cast, with Carrie doing a fantastic job. And the guy playing the brother's okay. He's not blowing me away, but he's okay. He definitely sells his character. And then the person who played her best friend, the guy's sister, she was good. We only got her kind of in the beginning of the story, but she was really good. And then they're all putting in good performances. And then just the story itself, the concept of the angels is a fascinating one. It's definitely the best villain modern Doctor Who has given us. And one of the best antagonists I think the show has ever come up with. They're just a fascinating idea. Stephen Moffat is really good with that kind of stuff. I like the fact most of it takes place at night. That lends itself well to the episode. I like the fact that what we get of the Doctor in it as well. I love the whole timey-wimey shenanigans nature of it. Stephen Moffat probably better than anyone gets the fact that the Doctor is a time traveler and plays with that mechanic. Probably better than anyone else, I think, that's ever written for the show. He just gets that. And I don't know, it's just a good, entertaining watch with a solid premise. Great sound effects, by the way. The little sounds the angels make when they move, that little shh is really good, really adds. It's just got a good atmosphere to it, a good sense of tension. Imagine watching it on Halloween night. You know, it's like 11 o'clock, 1 in the morning. The lights are out. You got a few friends doing a sleepover, and you're watching that. Excellent way to start off a Doctor Who marathon. Next on the list, we have the Silence in the Library two-parter. Again, the idea of something normal being out to get you. Not necessarily every shadow, but any shadow. And you're in this giant library where you're cut off. You can't even trust the dark. And that works because we have it's very human to have this innate fear of the dark, of not being able to see. We just do. We have this irrational fear of the dark, especially at a young age. And this really plays on that trope well and possibly even explains why inherently we have that fear of the dark. It's a great two-parter. Everyone's putting in a good performance. It introduces us to River's song, and Alex plays River so well. This is my favorite version of River here. And it's neat to see the Doctor not be the one that's holding all the cards, to know that there's someone that knows more about him even than he does. The whole bit with her knowing his name. That's fascinating. And especially for Tennant's Doctor, who usually likes being the one who knows more than everyone else, because he is a bit of a narcissistic, arrogant Doctor at times. So to see him at a loss to her, which we see illustrated with the Sonic and her Sonic being better, is fascinating to me. And there's some great scenes between them. The set design is really good. Some of the stuff going on with Donna inside the simulation doesn't do as much for me, but the stuff going on outside in the actual world, though, is quite fascinating. And the idea that any shadow could get you. And then I love his speech about I'm the Doctor and we're in the biggest library in the galaxy. Look me up. I do love that a lot. Great one to watch, especially if you're watching it at night on Halloween in the dark. Next on the list, going with the Eccleston era, the Empty Child two-parter. Again, sticking with Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat is just the master when it comes to when he doesn't have the weight of so much on his shoulder like he did during his era at just writing great Doctor Who. He could easily be considered probably modern Who's best writer and one of the best writers the show has ever had. And again, taking something mundane, something non-threatening, and making it threatening. He's very good at this with statues, with the dark and shadows, and here with a child. Because there can be something just utterly creepy about children at times. This has been explored in stuff like Village of the Damned as well, where there can be something inherently creepy about children that are off a bit. And that's done really well here with the gas mask, the faceless child there, the faceless one. And the way he says his dialogue, "Are you my mommy? Mommy, mommy." It's very creepy. The scene when the doctor's examining everyone with Dr. Solomon, is that his name? I love the guy playing him, by the way. The actual medical doctor. That guy, phenomenal actor in this. Love him. And the bit about with the scar and you see him glance at his hand. That whole scene, you know, where injury as plagues. Beautiful scene. There's so many of those. It's a great introduction to Jack as well. And I love Jack Harkness. Love Jack Harkness. John Barrowman is so great in that role. And I still think Jack's just a fantastic character. He is a wonderful, diverse, inclusive character done right. He doesn't feel like he's shoved in there. He feels like he serves a good plot, and he is just that kind of thing done right. I really love that. I've always loved Jack. Still do. I love the location work, the set design, the guest cast. It's creepy in all those good ways. It has a great cliffhanger. And this is one of those rare occasions where part 2 lives up to part 1. Because sometimes in modern Doctor Who, part 2 doesn't live up to part 1. Part 2 is just as good as part 1 here. With a great ending. And I love the fact that Eccleston, because we don't get to see his doctor genuinely that happy, is so happy and excited that he gets to save everyone. Because Series 1 of Doctor Who very much remembers classic Doctor Who, where people died. A lot of people died in classic Doctor Who. Sometimes the Doctor couldn't save everyone. Again, Horror of Fang Rock kind of being the example of that, with all of the guest cast dying in that story, with only the Doctor and Leela getting out of it. So the fact that the Doctor does get to save everyone, it really adds that impact. If you're familiar with classic Doctor Who, it really adds to the Everybody Lives speech and why he's so excited for the Everybody Lives. It's such a great moment. It is one of the best of Eccleston's moments on the show. One of the best moments in all of modern Doctor Who. And it's nice to have a nice horror story with such a happy ending like that. Next on the list is one that I am personally not particularly fond of, but I still think it deserves mention on this list, and that is the God Complex, which is, I think, a very creepy story, and it's filmed in this off-kilter way. And I have long praised the actual execution of this story. I think the script is rubbish. Complete rubbish. Like Horns of Nimon, rubbish. Worse. But the execution of it and the way it's directed and the cinematography of it is fantastic. It is one of those stories that the way it's shot really makes up for it. And I can always appreciate a watch through of it, which there hasn't been many, but when I do rewatch it, I can always appreciate how well it's cast and how well it's filmed and how the cinematography of it. It's directed phenomenally well. And the fact that everything just feels off about this, the camera angles, I don't even know if it's my memory playing tricks on me, but I sometimes feel like they're tilted slightly, or maybe there's some inspiration from how The Shining was shot in the hotel. But it gives me those creepy vibes that, again, I think would work for a good Halloween watch-along because of that. And again, the story, not knowing what's going on, and I still can't tell you what's going on because the story's rubbish, but that not knowing what's going on really hits hard. And then when the one girl dies, the one that the Doctor is kind of connecting with, you can see her as a potential companion. When she dies, the actress sells it. The writing and the actress sell her as a character so well that I feel that loss when she dies. And the fact that they got me that invested in her as a character, especially for a script I don't care for, good job. Very good job. My hat's off to that. Next on the list is Listen, another one I don't care for. I think Listen is rubbish. I think it's a very good story up to the end, and then the ending craps on the whole story. But again, it's shot well. Like with the Doctor seeing the thing behind him that's out of focus and not knowing what it is. The Doctor trying to figure out what's going on there. It has, again, those creepy, scary, atmospheric vibes for a lot of the story. Hearing the knocking outside. It does a lot. Yes, the ending is awful and dumb, but everything up to that is executed pretty well. Next on the list is The Haunting of Villa Diodati, whatever. This is, again, again, very much an homage to Frankenstein, with the Doctor meeting Mary Shelley, kind of inferring this is what influenced her writing Frankenstein, even though we also know the Eighth Doctor's met her as well. And I think with a story that's kind of tied in with Frankenstein, a staple of Halloween, it's good viewing. It again, something that comes up a lot in this video. I love how well it's shot. I actually enjoy the story, but I like the cinematography and I like the writing. I like walking out of a room just to be walking into the room. I like the fact that that doesn't make sense. Like, it's hard for the mind to comprehend me walking out that door, and as I'm walking out, I'm walking back into the room, because our minds don't work like that. So that kind of eeriness works for me. Again, I like the fact that it takes place mostly at night. That works. The outline of the Lone Cyberman. The Lone Cyberman himself, I love the concept of Lone Cyberman. The guy playing the Lone Cyberman is great. He's fantastic. I love seeing some of the after effects of the events of The Doctor Falls and World Enough in Time playing out here, with the Doctor taking it personally that's the Cyberman. The events of what happened to Bill still being on her mind when she mentions, I'm not letting them get anyone else. Y'all stay here. The fact she's a little more cautious against the Cybermen because of what happened to Bill and how that's carrying over. I do love when consequences carry over, much like in The Mind of Evil. I love the fact that the events of Inferno are still on the Third Doctor's mind in The Mind of Evil. I love continuity like that. It just feels lifelike. So I love getting that here with her concern more so that a Cyberman is here because of the events of World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. I like that. And where she's more worried about her companions than she would have been before the events of that other story. And then I like when she asserts that she's kind of the boss. That, I'm at the top here. I forget exactly what she says. She kind of has to tell them, hey, this isn't quite a democracy. I'm in charge. I need you to do what I say. I like when the Doctor has to point that out. She probably doesn't like having to point that out, but sometimes the Doctor doesn't have time to be nice. So it's, again, I think a good watch for Halloween. Next on the list is Mummy on the Orient Express. I like this one. It's a murder mystery. It's a nice spin on, I guess, Murder on the Orient Express. I've never actually seen any version of that, but a nice spin on it. Peter Capaldi is putting in a good performance. I think Jenna Coleman's putting in a good performance. The guest cast I like, especially the one guy kind of playing the conductor, the one that, again, you can see as a potential companion. He's great. I like the set design a lot. I like the story. I like the resolution of it, how it actually ends, what's going on, the 60-minute clock ticking down. I love Mummy on the Orient Express. It's easily one of my favorite, especially one of my favorite modern Doctor Who episodes. It's really, really good. Everything's firing on all cylinders in this episode, and I think it's a good Halloween watch, again with a mummy in it. And I love the fact that Doctor does I love his whole speech about, hello, I'm the Doctor, I will be your victim this evening, are you my mummy? I love that whole bit. I love when Capaldi's just having fun with it. Next on the list is Heaven Sent. Again, Heaven Sent has this creepiness with this, the idea of this thing that's relentless that is following you, kind of like It Follows, that kind of the It Follows vibes. That's just relentless and ever coming. And you might can put it off, but you can't escape it. I love that. I find that fascinating. This thing that, much like the Terminator, it doesn't feel pain or pity or remorse, and it will never, ever stop. But it being more almost like a supernatural entity, to where you really can't stop it like the Terminator, like you can with the Terminator. I like that. And the fact that it's basically a one-man show with Peter Capaldi selling it, which once again cements why Peter Capaldi, while again he's not my favorite Doctor, he's more in the middle of my list, because his type of Doctor just isn't the Doctor I tend to gravitate towards. But I can't deny the fact that he is hands down one of the best actors to ever play the role, because he is just a tour de force here. And it's a wonderful way of dealing with loss, and how you deal with loss is just really on display here. It's filmed well, it's directed well, the dialogue is written well, and again, it has these creepy moments, and it has such a good ending. Also, the incidental music's fantastic. I love the Shepherd's Boy music. It's a fantastic piece of incidental music. Once again, Murray Gold knocking it out of the park. And I think a perfect episode to watch on Halloween. Whether you want to watch Hellbent afterwards is up to you. I feel like you can watch Heaven Sent by itself, honestly. Next on the list is The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, and let's give our hats off to Gabriel Wolf right here. Gabriel Wolf, of course, stepping back into Doctor Who. Gabriel Wolf, of course, playing Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars, and coming back to reprise the role in the most recent series as Sutekh, and also doing Sutekh in Big Finish. I'm currently working my way through the Bernice Summerfield Triumph of Sutekh audios right now, and Gabriel Wolf, of course, is fantastic. But I love Gabriel Wolf coming back to Modern Who to voice the Beast, and he nails it. This is a creepy story. The scene when he's talking to the one guy he ends up taking over, don't turn around, don't look behind you, I can almost reach it. It's chilling stuff. Seeing the Beast when Tennant's confronting him at the end is okay. The CGI looks a little dated, but it's okay. But when you get those little glimpses of him on the screen for a second, and when the Ood are talking through his voice with the red eyes, that's creepy, chilling stuff. And you just know, crap's about to hit the fan, crap's about to hit the fan. It has a good lead up to that. I feel like part 2 lives up to part 1 closely. Not completely, but closely. This is definitely one I've reevaluated over the years. I used to not like this 2-parter. I don't know why. But I definitely appreciate it a lot more after my last rewatch. It really lived up to it. And the scene when the guy looks and all the symbols are on it, whether or not on the pot and they're on his hands, the closest thing I can compare that to, and I think somebody did it, somebody mentioned this before, I think it's in one of the behind-the-scenes things, is they compared it to Noah pulling his hand out of his pocket in the Ark in space. And I think that's a very apt comparison. It's that kind of chilling moment where you're like, it just does its horror vibes and spooky, scary vibes so well. Perfect viewing for Halloween. And then for the final one we're going to talk about, and I believe it's the final one we're going to talk about, make sure I haven't missed anything. Yes, I feel like since we started this list with Blink, the perfect story to end it on is Midnight, another Tennant story. Midnight is very good. It took me a long time to come around to Midnight for various reasons, which I've talked about. But I used to call it David Tennant's most overrated story. I just could not get the love for this one. But now that I'm not quite the Tennant fanboy I used to be, Tennant's also kind of in the middle of my list now, whereas he used to be my solid number 2. I can enjoy Midnight more, and it's creepy. It's atmospheric. It's got tension. It's claustrophobic. It's dark. And the girl playing Sky does such a good job of not only playing Sky, but playing Sky when she's possessed by the entity, what she's doing just with her facial expressions a lot. And then just the whole mimicking thing and watching as that evolves over the course of the episode is good. The guest cast is really good at selling the paranoia of it. And it's wonderful to have David Troughton in here as well. I love when they sneak in classic Doctor Who actors, which of course David, not only being the son of Patrick, but was also in Classic Who several times himself. It just has everything going for it. And it is one of those companion light stories, which is something I've held against it for a long time, honestly. But the fact that, and David's putting in a good performance, especially once he can't move and he's immobile, and he's just repeating, he sells that. There's a lot of tension and creepiness and the darkness of it. Like when, and I love the fact you never find out what the entity is. It's usually just called the Midnight Entity. And I love that. I never want a backstory for that. Ever. I don't want any kind of prequel, any kind of explanation. Part of what sells this episode is you know nothing about it. Sometimes learning about a creature just takes away from it. I don't need to know why Michael Myers is the way he is. I don't need to know why Jason Voorhees is the way he is. I just accept the fact they are the way they are. And I like that about them. I don't care for the Curse of Michael Myers. I know Dom loves that one. I think it's Dom. I loves that one. But most people don't, for a reason. It's awful. It's terrible that was Donald Pleasance's final Halloween movie. He deserved better. And its ending is awful. Its reshot ending is awful. But yes, I love the fact that that's never, ever answered. It's just the Midnight Entity. I like that. That adds to it because you don't know if this thing is malevolent or if it's just the way it is. You don't really know much about it, and that's part of what adds to the mystique of this episode and helps carry it, in my opinion. It's just, it has so much going for it. Wonderful piece of Doctor Who. Perfect viewing for late at night on Halloween in the dark. So I want to know what you think of this list. Comment down below and tell me some episodes from Modern Doctor Who that you think are fantastic viewing for Halloween night when you have some friends over in the dark. Maybe with a drink or two. Comment down below. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and want to support what I do and get exclusive videos, remember Sunday videos are exclusive to the patrons now. They don't come out on YouTube. Just the patrons get those at different tier levels. Check that out. I also have a P.O. box. I also have a link to my Amazon wish list, a link to my Amazon UK wish list. Check those out as well if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. Most importantly, thank you for watching.